You ever walk into a place and feel like you don't exist? Not in some deep, philosophical, we're all just specks of dust kind of way, but in a very real, tangible sense. Like you're standing right there, fully grown, breathing, and yet somehow no one acknowledges you? Yeah, that was today. His name was Jerome Wilson, 47 years old, successful as hell, and in this moment, utterly invisible. Funny thing? This wasn't just any hotel. This was one of the crown jewels of his hospitality empire, a five-star luxury haven where a single night stay cost more than some people's rent. And yet here he was, standing at the front desk, waiting to be noticed like some lost tourist begging for scraps of attention. This wasn't a routine visit. Jerome had been hearing complaints, not just one or two, but a steady stream of them, all tied to this particular hotel. Guests being treated like second-class citizens, staff with serious attitude problems, rooms mysteriously unavailable for certain customers. He could have handled it the corporate way, called the manager, scheduled an audit, thrown some business jargon at the issue, and hoped for the best. But Jerome knew better. Problems like these didn't fix themselves. They needed to be exposed. So he showed up unannounced. No suit, no limo, no entourage, just another guest checking in for the night. And that's when he got a front row seat to his own company's so-called world-class service. The front desk was staffed, or more accurately, ignored, by a blonde 20-something named Kim, whose entire demeanor screamed, "I do not get paid enough to care." She was leaned back, phone in hand, tapping away at her screen, completely uninterested in the human being standing right in front of her. Jerome waited, cleared his throat. Nothing. Tapped the desk. Still nothing. "All right. Excuse me." Kim let out a loud, exaggerated sigh, the kind reserved for people who dared interrupt someone doing absolutely nothing. She finally dragged her gaze up, blinking at him like he had just materialized out of thin air. "Yeah, that was it. Not welcome, not how can I help you, just, yeah," like he was an inconvenience. Jerome kept his tone calm. "I have a reservation. Jerome Wilson." Kim barely concealed a smirk as she turned to her computer, typing with the enthusiasm of a sedated sloth. "Mm-hmm. Yeah, nope. Don't see it." Jerome arched a brow. "You sure about that?" "Pretty sure." She didn't even glance up, just went right back to scrolling, like the conversation was over. And that's when he knew. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't the system acting up. This was deliberate. She had taken one look at him and decided he wasn't worth her time. Jerome exhaled slowly, keeping his composure. "Check again." Kim rolled her eyes but humored him, tapping lazily at the keyboard. "Nope. Still nothing. Sorry." She didn't sound sorry. She sounded bored. Jerome pulled out his phone, scrolling to his confirmation email. "I have my booking right here." He held up the screen. Kim barely glanced at it. "Yeah, well, the system doesn't lie. Neither does my email." Another sigh. "Look, sir, maybe you made a mistake. Happens all the time." "Oh," Jerome tilted his head. "You saying I'm lost?" She gave him that condescending little smirk, the one people use when they think they're talking to an idiot. "I'm saying it's an easy mistake to make." Jerome clenched his jaw, inhaled deeply. "And if I wasn't mistaken, if my reservation was here all along." She shrugged. "Then I guess the system glitched." Jerome knew this system. It didn't glitch. People did. And something about the way she refused to double-check, the way she dismissed him so damn easily. It wasn't hard to see what was really going on here. He had dealt with this kind of thing before. The silent rules of customer service, where certain people's mistakes got corrected and others conveniently ignored. Usually he let this kind of thing slide. Pick your battles, right? But today, today was different. Jerome pulled out his second phone, the one with full access to the internal system. A few taps later, there it was, his reservation. Booked, confirmed. And then, just because curiosity got the better of him, he checked the activity log. Reservation manually deleted. Deleted by Kim, front desk clerk. Bingo. Jerome glanced at her name tag. suppressing a smirk. Kim, she barely looked up. Hmm? What happens when you delete a reservation? She didn't even pause. Oh, it just removes it from the system. No big deal. He nodded. And who has the ability to do that? She shrugged. Only front desk staff, obviously. Like yourself? She blinked. Uh, yeah. Why? Jerome turned his phone around. Let her see the screen. Let her see her name, clear as day, right next to the deletion log. Her face lost a little color. Ugh. Her mouth opened, closed. Nothing came out. For the first time all night, she looked completely speechless. Jerome smirked. Oh, this was going to be fun. She had decided in the span of 5 seconds that he didn't belong here, that he wasn't worth proper service, let alone a second look. Jerome had been through this before, the silent rules of customer service, where certain people's mistakes get corrected and others conveniently ignored. Usually he let this kind of thing slide, pick your battles, right? But today, oh, today was different. Jerome pulled out his second phone, the one with full access to the internal system. He tapped in his credentials. And sure enough, there was his reservation, booked, confirmed. And then because curiosity got the better of him, he checked the activity log. Reservation, manually deleted, deleted by Kim, front desk clerk. Bingo. Jerome glanced up at her name tag, suppressing a smirk. Kim, oh, this was going to be fun. He inhaled deeply, forcing a smile. Tell me something. Kim. She hummed, tapping away on her phone again. What happens when you delete a reservation? She barely looked up. Oh, it just removes it from the system. No big deal. Jerome nodded. And who has the ability to do that? Kim shrugged. Only front desk. Staff, obviously, like yourself. She blinked. Yeah, why? Jerome tapped his screen. One last time, pulled up the log and turned the phone around. Her eyes flickered to the screen. And for the first time tonight, she actually looked nervous, because there it was, her name right next to the deletion. Kim swallowed hard, her face losing a little color. Jerome leaned in, slightly lowering his voice. So, tell me, Kim, did you delete my reservation? Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out for the first time all night. She looked completely speechless. Jerome smirked. Oh, this was going to be one hell of a night. Jerome had seen a lot of in his life, but this was a whole new level. He stood there watching Kim try to pretend she wasn't. Absolutely. And honestly, he almost felt bad for her, almost. But nah, she had dug this grave herself, and now she was going to lie in it. She kept blinking at the screen, her fingers twitching like she wanted to undo whatever digital crime she just committed. But there was no back button for this one. I didn't, she started. But Jerome cut her off. Don't even try it. Kim, the way she flinched. Beautiful. Save it. She clamped her mouth shut so fast he almost laughed. He took a step back, inhaled deeply, and calmed himself down, because honestly, he wanted to go off. He wanted to let everybody in this fancy-ass lobby know what had just happened. But no, not yet. This needed finesse. So instead, he leaned on the counter and smiled. Here's what's going to happen. Kim, she gulped. You're going to find me a room right now. She hesitated, but when he just stared at her, she scrambled to type. He could hear the shaky tapping of her fingers on the keyboard. Okay, she muttered. Speak up. I found a room, of course you did. She grabbed a key card and shoved it across the counter, not making eye contact. Here you go, sir. He didn't touch it. Which room? 1427. He sighed. The worst room in the building. Kim froze. See, she thought she was slick. Room 1427 was by the elevators next to the maintenance closet with a glorious view of the dumpster out back. Jerome knew every room in this hotel. Hell, he had designed the floor plan himself, and this was textbook pettiness. Kim, he said, tilting his head, do I look stupid to you? Her face twisted. No, then why are you trying to play me? Like, I don't know exactly what you just did. Dead silence. The lobby was eerily quiet now. Other guests had started noticing the tension. A couple at the nearby couches glanced over. Pretending they weren't eavesdropping, a bellboy in the corner suddenly got very interested in adjusting his little hat. Jerome slowly picked up the key card, thanks Kim, and with that he turned and headed for the elevators. But this wasn't over. Not even close. The second he stepped into his room, Jerome pulled out his laptop. This was his hotel, his empire. And someone had the audacity to treat him like he was some random nobody time to do some digging. First, he pulled up the hotel's internal records. He checked staff complaints, guest complaints, manager reports, anything tied to this location. And guess what? Kim's name was everywhere. Front desk agent dismissed a guest complaint without logging it. Guest reported racial discrimination at check-in staff involved Kim. Kim refused service to a guest stating hotel policy, but did not provide documentation. Kim involved in multiple disputes with guests over system errors affecting reservations. She wasn't just bad at her job. She was actively malicious, and yet she still had this job. Why Jerome scrolled further and found his answer. The manager, Stephen Lane, a spineless corporate. Yes, man who probably avoided